tuition assistance versus credentialing assistance. In most branches, you have one pot of money, but then uh, two areas to take it out of, credentialing assistance or tuition assistance. There's only one branch that has its own independent funding for credentialing, and that's the Coast Guard. So we are approved under Army, Air Force, and Coast Guard, as well as the spousal benefit of MyCAA. The difference in these is credentialing is about a skills-based certification and training. So if our training is here to provide you preparation to sit for that certification and pass that examination. So that's how it's deemed really in the technical side of it. But really what it comes down to is where is that funding for your education benefit going, whether you're active duty or a spouse? And then again, you look at the bottom here of this slide here, it's basically says scholarships and discounts. So what that looks like is we do accept third-party funding. If there's a employer that's going to pay for it or whatever the case may be, we have that ability to invoice, as well as significant discounts. So our normal discounts range from 15 to 20%. The funding timeline is the most important here to a lot of people. So if you're planning on using one of these benefits to pay for your tuition or your credentialing cost, it takes on average 30 to 45 days. And for the Army, that's really a 45-day timeline. Air Force, I've seen it pay as short as 2 weeks. Coast Guard's a reimbursement of the benefit. So you come out of pocket, the Coast Guard pays you right back for it. And then my CAA is a bit of a process. Almost 3 weeks to 30 days really is typical for them because that's an invoicing and then education plan, all that kind of stuff. There's sort of the middle people with Cisco counselors. So each of these has their own funding timeline. The long story short is on average, it's 30 to 45 days. So if you're interested in doing this, and we're going to talk about some changes here in the timeline, now's the time to do it because you might be thinking, well, it's only late May, early June coming up. The funding changes come in at the end of September. The federal reset is October 1st every year. That's the fiscal year calendar. So what that means is when there's changes that go into effect in a branch's benefits, those changes come out at the end of September for this fiscal year. So fiscal year 24 will end September 30th. Fiscal year 25 starts October 1st. So if you want your training in this fiscal year, whatever you do has to go in before October 1st. So that's first and foremost. So talking about ArmyCOOL specifically, and as you see there, my uncool update, it was announced earlier this year. And if you don't want to believe me, that's fine. I'm not here to scare people into signing up with us. I want to inform my students, not fearmonger. You can go Google it. The changes are coming. Everybody's trying to address this. It's a drastic change, but that's the point of this change is that the Army came back and said, we spent too much money from 2019 and 2022. So now we're going to try to recoup that. And here's what they're doing. So right now, the Army, so Guard, Reserves, Active Duty, has no tuition cap per year. You have $4,000 a year to use. It will renew every fiscal year. Starting this year, so October 1st, you will have a lifetime cap of $4,000. That means once you spend $4,000 in credentialing assistance, that's it. That's done. And that's dramatic because it used to reset every year. So you could spend $4,000 and go get something new the next year. That won't happen this year. So if you want to spend $4,000 this year and then hold on to your $4,000 for the rest of your career, I would significantly encourage you to apply for your benefits now and go get that credential you want now. The other side of this is, yeah, you will have $4,000 moving forward, but you can only really spend $1,000 of it per year. And the other restriction that they're putting in on here is the fact that there's an MOS requirement. So the Air Force kind of already has that, where if you're not in Intel or Signal Corps or something of that nature, you can't take a IT certification because IT is not a part of your MOS or your job. That is a restriction the Army is adopting this coming year. So yes, you're only going to have $1,000 to spend. You're only going to have a $4,000 lifetime cap, and then it's going to be restricted to your MOS. So if you're a different job, if you're a Cav Scout, an MP, an infantryman, an engineer, and you want to go into IT, or you feel like you're going to transition and you want to get your certification before you get out, do it this year. Do it between now and August, September timeframe. That way, they can't take it from you, and you're not going to be held to the restrictions that are coming up next year.